Why do men fall in love with you? Have you ever wondered about those moments when certain men can't resist you, when they're deeply drawn to you? Do you think it's just physical attraction, or is it completely about your personality? But what if it's neither of these? What if men actually fall in love with an image they've created in their subconscious before they even know you? According to Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century, men falling in love with women doesn't happen by chance. In fact, this attraction is governed by two fundamental psychological mechanisms in men's subconscious. And when you learn how these mechanisms work and how to use them, making a man fall in love with you will become child's play. You'll understand why men treat you in certain ways, why some admire you, while others remain completely indifferent. According to Jung's theory, every man has a feminine image in his subconscious called the anima. This image gradually takes shape over the years, starting with the first relationship men form with their mothers. But it doesn't stop with the mother. The women he knows throughout childhood, the symbols of femininity he absorbs from culture, and even the female archetypes in the collective unconscious, passed down through centuries, all form this image. So when men encounter a woman in their lives, they don't actually see her as she truly is. They look at how much she resembles this anima within them. And here, the first reason emerges. Men fall in love with you because you resonate with the anima image inside them. If what I've explained so far resonates with you, subscribe to the channel, because on this channel, we'll be discussing many more topics like this. A man's relationship with his mother deeply affects his anima. For example, a man who was overprotected and pampered by his mother develops an anima that constantly seeks attention and approval from women. This man constantly evaluates the women he encounters in his life through this lens. When he searches for a woman who gives him peace, who looks after him like a mother, who accepts him unconditionally, he's actually projecting his own anima outward. But there's a critical point here. The man doesn't actually see you. What he sees in you is the deep image within himself. That's why in the early days, he sees you almost like a goddess, finds every behavior of yours perfect, loads excessive meaning onto your words. Because at that moment, he's not in love with you, but with his own anima. But in time, the real you emerging is inevitable. When your flaws, contradictions, your humanity begin to show themselves, the man is shocked. He says, "She changed." But nothing has changed. The projection has simply dissolved. The illusion has shattered. Jung sees this as a dangerous situation, because if a man doesn't recognize his own anima, he continues jumping from one relationship to another, constantly searching for the same image outside. He thinks he'll find the perfection he couldn't find in one woman in another. But the problem isn't with the women. The problem is the balance within the man himself. The second reason lies in an even deeper place. According to Jung, men fall in love not only with women who resemble their animas, but also with women who will complete the missing piece inside them. That is, you represent a quality they've been unconsciously searching for, but haven't been able to develop in themselves. Imagine a man who has been excessively rational and logical throughout his life, suppressing his emotions. When this man encounters a deeply emotional, spontaneous, and free-spirited woman, he feels enchanted. This isn't simple admiration. It's the man seeing in you an aspect he's been suppressing for years, an aspect he couldn't develop within himself. As he begins to get to know you, over time, you become a mirror for him. What he sees in you is actually his own potential, but because he doesn't realize this, he becomes dependent on you. He thinks he can't feel those emotions without you. He feels complete when he's with you. He feels incomplete when he's apart from you. This forces a man to fall in love with you. This is where Jung's warning comes into play. If the man doesn't understand this projection and doesn't grasp that what he sees in you actually already exists within himself, the relationship turns into an unhealthy dependency because he expects you to complete him. But this isn't something another person can do. A person cannot be happy unless they feel whole. A person must first know themselves, then make peace with themselves. These should make that person say, "Yes, I am a whole and complete on my own." So, how do these two reasons work together? A man both sees his own anima in you and finds his missing piece. This is how the most intense, most passionate, but also most dangerous relationships begin. For example, imagine a man raised by an emotionally distant mother. This man carries images of warmth, affection, and emotional closeness in his anima, but has never fully experienced any of them. When the first woman in his life gives him this warmth, it's a revelation moment for him. He feels as if he's found a piece that's been missing for years. But there's a hidden trap here. Is the man truly in love with this woman, or is he in love with what's missing in his inner world? Jung tells us, most of the time, it's the latter. And when he can't understand this difference, the relationship begins to become poisoned over time, because no woman can constantly conform to the image in a man's inner world. Real life is complex. People change. Emotions fluctuate. You too can have a bad day, you can be tired. Maybe you can't give him the affection he wants at that moment. That's when the man is disappointed. He says, "You're not like you used to be." But the truth is, you were never that old person. That was just a projection in his own mind. One of Jung's deepest concepts emerges from here: the shadow. When men project their animas outward, they also project their own shadows. The shadow is a person's dark aspects that they don't want to accept, that they've suppressed. And interestingly, men sometimes fall in love with women because of this shadow too. Imagine a man who's very self-controlled, disciplined, and always in control. In this man's shadow, there's chaotic, wild, uncontrolled energy. When he meets a woman who represents the complete opposite in his life, two things can happen. Either he hates her, or he falls madly in love with her. If it's the latter, this love will be extremely intense but also unstable, because the man is actually dancing with his own shadow. A very important lesson emerges from here for women. If a man is in love with you, it doesn't always mean he truly sees you. Sometimes he sees his own incomplete story in you. Sometimes he finds the reflection of his own potential in you. And sometimes he discovers the dark aspects he's suppressed in you. So what should you do in this situation? Jung's answer is clear. Awareness. You must be aware of both yourself and the man in front of you. If a man excessively idealizes you the moment he first sees you, be careful. If he uses expressions like, "You're perfect," "I understood the moment I first saw you," "You're different," this is a sign of projection. Real love develops slowly. In real love, a man gets to know you over time, sees your flaws, and still chooses you. But in projective love, the man doesn't see your flaws because he's not actually seeing you. He sees the outward reflection of his inner world. Jung also says that men's animas are at different levels. At the primitive level, the anima is only physical and sexual attraction. At a more mature level, it's a romantic and emotional bond. At the highest level, it's a spiritual union. If a man doesn't know what level he's at, he constantly gets lost in relationships. A man at the primitive level evaluates women only through physical attraction. His anima is entirely focused on the body. That's why his relationships are superficial and end quickly, because physical attraction is temporary. When novelty decreases, interest also disappears. The man at the romantic level idealizes women. He sees them almost like story heroes. These men experience very passionate loves. But when the projection breaks, they experience deep disappointments. They say, "So this isn't what love is," and go back into search mode. At the most mature level, the man sees the woman as an individual. He no longer searches for someone to complete him, because he's already found his own wholeness. At this level, the relationship is real, not projective. And according to Jung, true love is only possible at this point. So, how does knowing all this give you an advantage? When you understand Jung's theory, deciphering men's behaviors becomes much easier. If a man approaches you too quickly, says you're completely different before knowing you, feels deep emotions on the first date, he's most likely experiencing projection, and projective love always ends the same way. First comes euphoria. The man praises you to the skies, says you're the woman of his life. Then disappointment slowly begins. Small details start to bother him. You start hearing sentences like, "You weren't like this before." And in the end, the relationship either collapses or enters a toxic cycle. But if a man approaches you slowly, takes time to get to know you, still chooses to stay by your side as he sees your flaws, then a real bond is being formed, because he's now seeing you, not his anima. Jung says one more thing. Women can also fall in love with men projectionally. Women also have a masculine image in their subconscious called the animus. Therefore, this process is mutual. Both men and women can project their inner worlds onto each other. And the healthiest relationships are those where both sides manage to transcend these projections and see the real person. From this, we can draw the following conclusion. Men fall in love with you for two reasons. First, you resemble the anima image in their subconscious. Second, you represent a quality they've suppressed, that they haven't been able to develop. In both cases, love begins not by seeing you first, but by seeing their own inner worlds. But this isn't a bad thing. According to Jung, understanding this process and making it conscious is growth itself. Because every relationship actually holds up a mirror. Whatever they see in you is what's missing or suppressed within them. And by holding up this mirror, you help them evolve. Similarly, when you fall in love, you also see your own animus in the man in front of you. If you admire his strength, determination, protectiveness, perhaps it's time to develop these qualities within yourself, because no person can complete another. Everyone must find their own wholeness themselves. One of Jung's most beautiful quotes is this: "Two people don't complete each other, two whole people unite." The deep meaning behind this quote is this: if you're entering a relationship to complete your deficiencies, that relationship will be unhealthy. But if you're already whole within yourself and want to unite with another whole person, then true love begins. In other words, if you enter a relationship to fill your own spiritual void, that relationship turns into a story of depletion, not completion. The magic experienced at the start is actually an illusion, because the other person begins to sense not your love, but your need for them. And no human being can carry another's spiritual burden forever. As you drift away from your center and become dependent on him, that initial mysterious attraction fades away. He begins to see you not as an ocean to be explored, but as a well that needs to be filled. And by human nature, he withdraws from this weight. Therefore, if you are wounded, you must seek healing not in the arms of another, but in the depths of your own solitude. So, if you're wondering why men fall in love with you, First, ask yourself these questions. Which archetype do I represent? Which emotions do I set in motion? The mother image, the freedom image, the wisdom image, or the passion image? Every woman awakens different things in different men. Some women awaken the child within men, some the hero, some the explorer, and some the philosopher. Knowing which image you awaken gives you great power, because you now understand why some men are drawn to you, while others remain completely indifferent. And most importantly, when you're in a projective love, you can recognize it. If a man excessively idealizes you, has unrealistic expectations, or tries to change you, these are signs of projection. He's not seeing you, he's seeing the image in his own mind. The most valuable lesson Jung teaches is this: know yourself. Know your own anima, your animus, your shadow. Because when you know these, you don't become captive to others' projections. You can distinguish people who truly see you from those who are projectionally in love. And thus, love ceases to be an illusion and becomes a tool for transformation. Every man you encounter teaches you something about yourself. Some show you your strength, some your weakness, some your potential, and some your fears. But all of them, absolutely all of them, are there for one thing: to return you to yourself. Jung was right. Men fall in love with you for only two reasons. But the real question is this: what will you learn from this love? Because in the end, every love story is actually a story of returning to yourself.